Alright, so this lamp has a replacement plug on it, and it was installed improperly. So that's one issue with the lamp on this Montgomery Ward machine. This is the inside of the hole that this screw-in plug goes on, and you're supposed to either strip the wire and lay it flat across in there straight in, or this is supposed to be a crimp-on end for soft rubber wiring that will pierce the wire to make the contact. And this, clearly the hard plastic on this wire didn't work like that, so somebody stripped it and then folded it around and didn't actually get it all the way into the contacts. So I'm gonna have to pull this off and put a regular plug on, and then I'll have to take a look at what the rest of the wiring in the lamp up under the lid is doing. Underside of the lid, so get our 2 screws out of this. Cover can set to the side, and since I'm here, okay, so that's just a bracket for this wire, and our bobbin winder is in place. Alright, well, since the hand wheel's off, I'm going to wipe behind this hand wheel clutch a little bit, and then I'm going to move the camera again to look up inside this lid. You can see that our wire comes in along the edge of the lid, and then there's some wire nuts and taped on connections for this switch that someone put in here. And I think this switch is just that's just a random replacement switch. They didn't even get the nut on the outside of it to hold it into. They ground the hole out on this lid real big to cram that through there. So I'm going to look and see if I have a retainer nut for this switch or if I need to replace it. And then the light fixture is pretty floppy in here. So I'm going to see if I can tighten that down a little bit, but we'll come back and I'm going to redo all this wiring with solder and heat shrink so that it's all much neater, because right now it's curled around this peg, which is the clip for the front of the lid here. This old switch is a Leviton. Didn't find a nut to put on it. I've removed the wire nuts, and one of these connections was just twisted and taped. I do have, however, this new twist switch that I believe is going to fit through that hole. The new hole that was drilled in this lid. I also suspect that this lamp holder here is not the original lamp holder for this machine, because there are 2 holes here in the lid, and this hole is drilled out to get the screw through for that lamp holder. So I suspect that this is not the original lamp. Let me get a way to reach in there and get that tightened in, and then we'll wire this up. So I've tinned all these wires, and I should be able to just start pairing them up. One down. So that's power to the light, to the lamp fixture. And then we've got power to the switch here. I guess since I'm having two steel here, I will add more flux on that because they didn't tin up as well as I thought they did. Power to the lamp, power to the switch, and then the switch on the other side of the lamp here. Wired up, and then I'm going to insulate this with shrink tube. I'm going to put these long shrink tube tails over each connection here, and then we'll shrink these up, and then once I've shrunk them the first time, I'll fold them over. I'm going to put a big piece of shrink tube, a skinny band to hold all those ends together, and I'm going to hold them all in so that they'll sit against the front side here, and then they won't go into the latch. So 3 connections are shrink tube, fold the tails over, put this one large piece on, and then I'll shrink that. So each of those 3 connections is individually shrink wrapped, and then the whole thing is shrink wrapped together, and it tucks right in there, and then this latch will be out of the way. So I think I've got that wiring straightened out for the lamp here. I'm gonna fiddle with getting the 2 screws in the end for the lid hinge again, and then we'll start working in the top of this machine.